students, welcome once again to the online class. Today we have a new lesson number 14. Young Pele Saucer Player. You might have heard about it. आप लोगों को सुने होंगे इसके बारे में. He is a world famous या प्रसिद्ध या सुप्रसिद्ध saucer player या football player. We just have a look at his life and then we'll continue. It's a very important figure in the sports field. Important माने बहुत महत्वपूर्ण एक व्यक्ति है in the field of sports. Okay? Now let us know about his birth. He was born on 23rd October 1914 in Bauru, Brazil. ये ब्राजील में उसका जन्म हुआ. And then his full name, उसका पूरा नाम क्या था? उसको पेले बुलाते थे उसका दोस्त, लेकिन उसका full name what was Edson Arantes do Nascimento. That is his full name. क्यों उसको एडिसन दिया है? He was named after the American inventor Thomas Alva Edison. ये अमेरिका का एक बहुत बड़ा आविष्कार है थॉमस अल्वा एडिसन. इसके याद में उसको एडिसन नहीं दिया है, लेकिन आई निकाल करके उसने एडिसन दिया है. उसका माँ बाप ने उसका नाम रखा है एडिसन. So he became a very important player when he was very young. So उसका लाइफ का कहानी, लाइफ स्टोरी what we say, his life is a rag to riches story. मतलब क्या है? उसका जीवन कहानी जब रैग से मैं छोटा से और एक बड़ा आदमी बन गया, इसको कहते हैं रैग्स टू रिचेस स्टोरी. सो ही वाज वेरी, हिज फैमिली, हिज पापा मम्मी बहुत गरीब थे, वाज वेरी पुअर, सो कुड नॉट बाय अ बॉल. कैन इमेजिन, आपको सोचने की बात है ये, इतना गरीब थे वो लोग, एक बॉल खरीदने का पैसा भी उनके पास नहीं थे. सो क्या करते थे? ही यूज्ड एन ओल्ड सॉक. सॉक मींस यू नो मोजा. आप लोग यूज करते होंगे, अभी विंटर ज्यादा मौसम है, हम लोग मोजा यूज करते हैं. वो मोजा को काट करके क्या करते थे? उसके अंदर वो न्यूज़पेपर लगा करके एक बोर्ड बनाते. इसका मतलब है देखिएगा, इतना गरीब थे फिर भी इतना बड़ा हो गया उसका, उनकी जिंदगी. उसी तरह when you think of example, we have another example of a sportsman, a big legendary cricketer कपिल देव का भी बचपन, वो छोटा जो बालक वो चाइल्ड इतना आसान नहीं था, वो भी एक बॉल खरीदने के लिए बहुत उनका भी बहुत मुश्किल था. He went through a lot of struggle, difficulties, problems, लेकिन उसने कैसे एक बड़ा क्रिकेटर बन गया, हमारा भारतीय टीम का कैप्टन बन गया, फिर उसके नेतृत्व में हम लोग को वर्ल्ड कप भी मिला. उसी तरह एक आदमी था कपिल देव. यही स्टोरी है इसका उदाहरण. उनका भी बहुत गरीब थे और परिवार बहुत गरीब थे, एक बॉल खरीदने का भी पैसा हम लोग के पास नहीं था. That is the story, a कहानी. Okay, he began playing for Santos at the age of 15. याद रखिएगा, जब क्लास 9 आप लोगों को होगा 9, क्लास 9 10 उसी उम्र में ही वो खेलने शुरू किया. 15 एंड नेशनल टीम या देशीय टीम के लिए एज ऑफ 16 साल से ही वो खेलने शुरू किया. सो यू कैन इमेजिन चिल्ड्रन द स्ट्रगल या प्रॉब्लम, मुसीबतें वो उसके जिंदगी में आया. सो ही इज रिगार्डेड, this is very important, he is regarded as the greatest player of all time. Greatest, सबसे हम लोग बोलते हैं, हम लोग ग्रामर सीखने के समय great, greater, greatest. So greatest superlative डिग्री में है, बहुत बड़ा बन गया. He is among the most successful and popular sports figures of the 20th century. 20th century का एक सबसे successful, famous, popular, important player थे this Pele, whom we call as saucer player. And he is अभी कितने उम्र के हैं? 80 उम्र के years old he is. So I just want to tell you students one word. You see, when you think of or when you look at the life of this man, हम लोग जब इसका जिंदगी देखेंगे, हम लोग पढ़ेंगे, हम लोग को इतना याद रखना है, मुसीबतें हम लोग को रोकना नहीं है, हम लोग को कदम आगे बढ़ के हम लोगों को जीना है। जितना भी मुसीबतें अपनी जिंदगी में आते हैं उसको फेंकना है, we have to throw those मुसीबतें, those difficulties and आगे बढ़कर अपना जिंदगी बनाना। ही प्रेरणा इसके लाइफ से या इसके जीवन कहानी से हमको मिलता है। We will learn about him in the next lesson little more. Thank you, students.
Students, we shall read the lesson number 14. Young Pele Saucer Play. A small boy danced barefoot out into the street and began kicking at the air as if he were kicking a saucer ball. But there was no ball. Nearby, a group of men and boys huddled around a radio listening to a local saucer game. Bauru, a neighboring town in the southeastern Brazil. The year was 1948. One of the men smiled as he watched the boy acting like a real saucer player. The boy was 8 years old. His name was Edson Arantes do Nascimento, but his friends called him Pele. Pele kept kicking at the air. He could imagine himself out on the saucer field, dribbling the ball downfield with his feet, passing it to a teammate, then taking a pass in return and kicking a goal. Suddenly, the radio announcer became excited. Bauru had a ball near the Sao Carlos goal. Pele stopped to listen. A player nicknamed Dondinho was moving him in to take a shot, and it looked as if he would score. Dondinho kicked, but he missed. Everybody groaned. Dondinho was one of the policemen in town, but he played saucer part-time for the local club to earn a little extra money for his family. He was also Pele's father. Pele ran home. Soon his father arrived too, looking very sad. Pele's mother said, "See what that game does to you. You missed a goal, and now you will be sad for days. I pray Pele never plays saucer." But that night, when Pele's father, mother, grandmother, younger brother and sister gathered for praise, Pele prayed he would become a great saucer player. Pele took his saucer ball everywhere. One of his father's old socks stuffed with hard newspapers and laced shut with string. He was no bigger than large orange and not very round. But it was the only saucer ball Pele had. He had no money to buy a real one. He would practice kicking it as he walked down the street. He would dribble it or aim at it a telephone pole. He would do almost anything with it. Nothing could stop Pele from playing saucer. The games were too much fun, but after a while Pele felt he was missing something. He wanted his own team that could play other teams on a regular saucer field with a real ball. If we had uniforms, he told his friends, other teams would play as a team. We would call ourselves the 7th of September. The 7th of September is Brazil's Independence Day. To get money for uniforms, the boys collected all bottles and anything else they could find. They went up and down and streets and alleys. They poked into trash cans. They raked the city dump. When they had a big pile of old bottles, scrap metal, pieces of pipe and old pieces of furniture, they took it all to a junk man to sell. Finally, they had scraped together enough money to buy shirts and pants, but not enough for shoes and socks. We'll just have to be known as 7th of September, the barefoot team, said Pele. The 7th of September played every other team they could, and time They became famous in the area when Pele was about 11 years old. The mayor of Boru decided to hold a big tournament for all the younger teams. It was to be held in the city stadium with professional referees just like Big League Soccer. Pele and his friends wanted to enter the tournament, but they needed new uniforms. This time, a traveling salesman helped them. He was a Sosa fan and had heard of the barefoot team. He put up the money for uniforms, socks and shoes. However, he asked that the team be called Little America after his favorite big league team America in Rio de Janeiro. That seemed to be a small price to pay. As soon as their equipment came, the boys started to practice, but after only a few minutes, they were unhappy. They had never played in shoes before. I can't feel the ball, Pele said. I kick it, but it won't go where I want to. So they all took off their shoes and went back to playing barefoot. One of the tournament officials saw them. Boys, you have to wear shoes in the game, so you might as well get used to them. Without shoes, you can't play. The boys had no choice but to put their shoes back on. They got blisters the first day, but after a few days, the shoes became more comfortable and began to get the feel of the ball. He found he could kick with his toes as well as with the sides of his feet. The ball traveled further with less effort. Wearing shoes is better, he finally decided. 16 teams entered the tournament. Little America won their first game. Then they won their second game and their third. Suddenly, they went into finals, playing for the championship before a huge crowd. It was a hard, close game, but years of playing together paid off. Pele was especially good that day, dribbling, passing and shooting all over the field. Late in the game, Pele got the ball and dribbled it quickly towards goal. An opposing player moved in to take the ball away. Suddenly, Pele stopped cold and changed direction, still controlling the ball with his feet. The other player tried to change direction too, but he slipped and fell to the ground. In a flash, Pele was racing for the goal. Only the goalkeeper was in his way. Now, out from the net came the goalie to try to smother the ball. Pele faked a kick. The goalie dove, but the ball wasn't where he thought it would be. Pele angled a soft shot for the corner of the net. Bounce, bounce. The goalie raced for it, but it went into the net. It was a goal. The crowd stood and cheered. Little America had won. The crowd started to chant, Pele, Pele, Pele. Pele heard his name and ran round the field, his arms raised in victory. The people threw coins out into the field. They added up rupees 3.5 more money than he had ever seen before. When Pele was 15 years old, a big league team named after a large port city in Brazil, Santos, signed him to a contract. For the first time, he was to be paid for playing soccer. Pele started with the junior Santos team. He practiced and played with them for 3 months before he got his chance to play with the Santos first team. He entered an exhibition game as center to forward in the second half and scored his first goal in big league competition. By spring of the following year, Pele was a regular starter with the Santos. And after only 2 months of play, he became so well known around the big league that he was chosen to be on Brazil's national team. He was still only 16 years old. In his first game for the national team, Pele went in during the second half. He scored the only goal for Brazil as they lost to Argentina 2-1. But just a few days later, they played Argentina again. Pele was the starter and scored another goal. This time, Brazil won 2-0. The new year 1958 was a World Cup year. Every 4 years, a major soccer playing countries hold a series of games ending in a final to decide the victor. The World Cup is given to the best national team in the world. Pele was only 17 years old, but he was chosen for Brazil's World Cup team. In the quarterfinals against Wales, Pele scored what he feels is one of the most important goals of his career. Brazil won 1-0 and went into the semi-finals, beating France as Pele scored 3 times. And in the finals, Pele scored twice more as Brazil beat Sweden 5-2. It was Brazil's first World Cup title. Pele had scored 6 goals in the 3 games he played. Pele was famous. His feats in the World Cup with the national team and with the Santos were the talk of the soccer world. Every team wanted him. Every country wanted him. Then the government of Brazil acted. Pele was declared a national treasure. Brazil had passed a law to stop people from taking national treasures out of the country. The law was meant to protect works of art and important relics. But this time, the law was used to keep a human being in the country. Brazil won the World Cup again 4 years later and then again 8 years after that. And over this span of years, Pele's team, the Santos, won state and international team titles time after time. Pele proved that he truly was a national treasure. Pele scored 1,220 goals, including 95 for the Brazilian national team. That is a fantastic total for soccer. As many games are low scoring, often decided by 1 or 2 goals. Why was Pele being such an outstanding player? Speed, of course, is one reason. Pele can run and he can change direction and speed quickly. That makes it hard to cover him. Other players can't seem to block him out. But his supreme skill is in ball control. Sometimes it almost seems as if the ball were tied to his foot. Other times he seems to have a magical control over it. The ball does exactly what he wants to do it. Most teams try to stop Pele by putting 2 or 3 players to guard him. Of course, when they do that, Pele's teammates are in good sport to score. So Pele's value to his team is much greater than just the goal he scores. He sets up as many goals for his teammates as he scores himself. It's that Pele has been acclaimed all over the world as the greatest soccer player who ever lived. In 1974, Pele said he would retire. Giant crowds shouted, "Pele, Pele, Pele," and stay, stay, stay. But Pele felt it was time to quit. He was 33 years old. In 1974, Pele said he would retire. Giant crowds shouted, "Pele, Pele, Pele," and stay, stay, stay. But Pele felt it was time to quit. He was 33 years old and he wanted to relax and spend more time with his wife and 2 young children. But in 1975, with the permission of the Brazilian government, Pele signed a contract to play for the New York Cosmo soccer team. He couldn't resist trying to beat the last challenge, making soccer a major sport in the United States. Right from his first appearance, crowds doubled and tripled. Pele excited more interest and enthusiasm in soccer than there had ever been before. 3 weeks after arriving in New York, Pele was seen playing soccer with a bunch of boys in Central Park. When Pele saw the boys playing, he couldn't stay away, just as he couldn't stay away from the games when he was a barefoot kid kicking an old sock stuffed with newspapers. Pele was the best in the world at what he did. What would you like to become best at?